your coffee together. We have a fabulous person in the studio today.
You do?
I do.
That's good to know. Ooh, I'm glad to be here.
Okay, I think we're about set. You about set, Dr. Kim?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's run the music.
Wake up, get up, stand up. It's the morning lift. Praises up. Start your week with us. Get up. It's the morning lift. Feed your soul. It'll make you whole. He's in control. It's the morning lift. Get up. Stand up. Praises up. It's the morning lift.
Well, good morning. It's the Morning Lift Show with Dr. Sean Kyle. And as always, I have to always give kudos to that intro music. I have a fabulous team created, and I don't know if I've ever given her enough praise for creating this song, but that is the beautiful songstress Melanie Martin Ware singing.
Meow, meow.
An amazing team that put that together. It included Sean Wallace and Plu at Plu Planet Studios. So I just want to thank them this morning for my fabulous intro music.
It's beautiful.
Gets you going every week,
Yes, it
every
does.
Monday morning at 8 a.m. Every time I hear that song, I'm like, praises.
You ready
up.
to go?
It's time to get
Ready
up.
to
It's
go.
a new week. Put that old week down, get that new week going. It's a new week for everything that you want to do. This show is all about getting you moving forward in life, on that life journey. We all have things that we want to accomplish, and we have things in our past, we have things in our present, but we need to always be focused on what comes next in our future.
Yes.
And this show is all about your spiritual, physical, emotional, and mental wellness, inviting amazing, talented experts onto the show that can help all of us with new tips and ideas, oftentimes laughter on how we move forward in life, taking what we have and developing something new. And so today is no different. Today I have a fabulous expert in the field of love and life. I am so excited to have her on the show today. She's going to talk to us about detoxifying our love life.
Detox.
We have the wonderful Dr. Kimberly Garrett King. King Garrett. From Love and Life According to Dr. Kim. So without further ado, let me give y'all a little bit of background about Dr. Kim and why she's on this show and why you need to just pay attention. Get your notebook out. Get your pen out today, because Dr. Kim is going to drop some knowledge on all of us, because everybody needs a little detox in their love life. Everybody. No matter where you are and how strong that relationship is, she got a little knowledge for you. So Dr. Kim is a lifelong Chicagoan. She began her career in education, teaching grades pre-K through 2 in the Chicago Public Schools for 16 years. In her quest to support young teachers, particularly those teaching in urban settings, Dr. Garrett joined the faculty of Dominican University in 2006, this time as an assistant professor devoted to teacher education, curriculum design, and mentoring. She is the first African-American full-time faculty member in the School of Education at Dominican University, whoop, whoop, and received her tenure in 2013. In 2018, Dr. Kim launched a wonderful Facebook group. If y'all don't know, please get online with Dr. Kim. It's called Love and Life According to Dr. Kim, which currently has a membership of over 1,400 women. She hopes that after the pandemic, she can return to small group events in person, like her renowned Pajama Social, which provides a safe space for women to discuss matters of the heart. When the pandemic hit, she was just beginning to host events in other states that have group members. So what is this Facebook group? Let me give you a little bit about what she claims is the Facebook group, and it's so much more. So I'm going to give you just the brief and let her tell us more details. What she says is, love is what makes the world go round. Love is something we all want and need, but seems to be elusive. or missing for so many. Love in all its forms is at the heart of the human condition. Self-love, romantic love, brotherly love, family love, spiritual love. While one or the other may cause concerns at various times in our lives, they are all connected and interdependent and must be managed and managed well. When we are loved, we can love others and thus participate in the creation and maintenance of strong relationships and families, which is the foundation of our society. And women are at the center of that synergy, which brings about this group. This group operates as a hub for discussing matters of the heart as they affect and concern women of all ages and backgrounds, using the voices and experiences of women. They post and spark conversations, encouragement, and enlightenment. Members learn from and support one another through posts, comments, Facebook Live videos, and the like. And without further ado, y'all, let's please welcome Dr. King Garrett.
King Garrett.
Dr. Kim
I get my
King
dad's
Garrett.
name in there first. King Garrett, always a king.
That's right. Always a king,
Always
a queen
king.
too, right? A
Yeah,
queen
oh,
too.
Yes. Oh yes.
She's going to share with us some things about her platform, including Complete Suite, which she'll share with us, which is her Kim Style Ministry. I can't wait to hear about the Kim Style Ministry and how that affects the human spirit and helps people move forward in life. So, Dr. Kim, tell us, girl, how do we detox this life? What is it about your journey that made you start that Facebook group? Just talk to us.
That's loaded. First of all, thank you for having me. I was excited for the invitation. I was like, what? She wants to talk to me. And so anytime I get a chance to talk about things that are passionate to me, I'm excited. So I'm glad to be here, first of all. This group, which is how we become connected, came about because of the after conversations. And so being a lifelong educator, there's always conversations during class and the conversations after class. Teaching at church, Bible study, Sunday school, good conversations during the class. But it was those conversations after, in the elevators, in the parking lot, in the hallway, where people were sharing with me things that they didn't want to say in front of the whole group, or they weren't sure if it was appropriate to say. And it made me begin to think, there needs to be a space for these. I was like, wow, what if you had shared that? Somebody else needed to hear that. Somebody else needed to know that they're not the only one. So I started trying to have events at my church and, frame it in a way that, hey, this is not just Bible study. It's a time for us to share as women things that are really important to us. And the attendance was real poor. I was kind of hurt. Like, I go through all of this planning and you get 3 people, 4 people. Now, it was still meaningful for those people that came, but I was like, for the effort that I'm putting out, maybe this isn't it. So asking people, they would always ask afterward, well, how did it go? I really wanted to come, but, the kind of stuff I want to talk about, I don't know if we can talk about in God's house. And I'm like, that's exactly what I wanted you to do. And they were like, no, I can never have those kind of talks in the church. So around that same time, just, you're up late at night. I know you're probably that kind of person, up late at night. And I was thinking, what can I do? Like, if I can't do it in the church, can't do it outside of the church. I had been noticing in one of the classes that I teach, child, family, and community, and one of the capstone assignments for that class is to do a genealogy project. And so kind of dig deep into your family to better understand the families that you serve. And during the course of that class, once I started teaching it online, the things that people tell you online that they never said in the class. People came out to me in that class. People talked about child sexual abuse, neglect, drinking, alcohol problems, drug addictions, all these kind of things they began to confess to me within the realm of this class. And I said, maybe it's in the online environment where there's that buffer of the internet. There's that level of anonymity that folks are able to kind of let their hair down and be authentic and talk about those spaces. So I'm like, I'm on Facebook all the time. Maybe I should use Facebook for good, for good and not evil. So I started the group. Didn't launch it. Got scared. Like, you know what? Maybe, I don't know. How can I talk about love and life when that's something that has kind of eluded me to this point? Well, shortly after that, in fact, the next month after I started the group but didn't launch it, I kind of designed it on Facebook, I got hit by a car, okay, at work, actually struck by a vehicle, okay, hit in the knee, the bumper hit me in the knee, car rolled over my other foot. So, needless to say, I was incapacitated for a while, you know, surgeries and learning how to walk again and all of that. And it was in that quiet time, it was like, kept getting these notifications. What are you going to do with this group? What about the group you created?
Look how that always works out.
We have nothing but time now in the quiet time. Okay? Okay, so, I got it together. And went on and launched it on New Year's Day. And it's been growing. We're right under 1,500 now. So I've gotten almost 100 more members since, you know, I wrote that out for you. And it's been a godsend. It's really been a godsend. I think one of the things you were asking me is what differentiates this group, because there's tons of groups on Facebook. What differentiates our group from all the other groups that talk about relationships? And I think it's several things. One is securing a judgment-free zone.
That is so important.
And I spent a lot of time as the administrator of that group ensuring that that's the case, that we will not be judgmental to one another. If someone says something that's different than what you believe, or something that, wow, you didn't think ladies should say, go to Wonder. There's a document that we use
Go to Wonder?
Go to Wonder.
Okay.
So, and I borrowed that from a document that we use at my church whenever we have gatherings. It's called the Covenants of Fellowship. And that's probably my favorite out of the 12 statements in that document, that to me takes you to a place of empathy very quickly in a conversation. So before I go and say, Sean, why would you say something like that? Or that's dumb, or that's ignorant. Go to wonder, why would she say something like that? What would cause her to lash out at this sister like that? Go to wonder. Go to wonder. The other piece that's important there, and I do have it in the rules, is we're not here to fix anybody. So you say I'm an expert. I like to refer to myself as a consultant. I just like to talk about stuff and help people arrive at their own conclusions.
I like that. I like that a lot, because it gives people the freedom. You know, you mentioned that it's a judgment-free zone, but you allowing them to make their own conclusions, you're just kind of a guide. I like that you do that, and I've seen that happen in your group. I've seen you start a conversation and let people, you know, say what they want to say about it, and then you kind of not redirect, but you'll insert, you know, something else to consider, not something to change the conversation or something to stop the conversation, but did you consider X? And I like that. You know, that is part of being, you know, what you're doing for this. You're fostering an environment where people feel free to communicate. And, you know, so much so that I think that the appeal for that group comes from a place of passion for you.
Yes.
And a place of freedom for the women who are going on the group site. Right? It's challenging, as you said, that in many group settings for people to expose themselves or share something that they're thinking. But if they're in a place where most people come because they feel, you know, embarrassed, or I don't want to say this in front of everyone, and everyone is in that same space where I don't want to say it in front of everybody, but I can say it in front of y'all, because y'all just like me. Y'all don't want to say it either. And it's like a free space to say. And sometimes I'm on there and I'm like, oh, they said that? They really did.
Out loud.
They say it with their outside voice.
Yes,
and,
in all caps.
Yeah,
Yes,
and it's good. It's like, I'm sure that it felt freeing for that person. And as the administrator of that, I'm sure that allows you to kind of a peek into what people really need, what you need to foster more about in the group.
And I think the biggest thing that that has come out of this is trying to force us, and I always include myself, to deconstruct our ideas of love, our ideas of relationships. And so some folks got kind of, I won't say upset, but I got some pushback at the beginning because when they would post a comment, why? And I spent a lot of times just typing in, why? Why? Well, because that's the way it's supposed to be. Why? And so much of what we do, decisions that we've made, you and I have talked, not at length, but outside of this space about, our past and relationships and marriages and raising children. And so much of what we do is because that's what we were taught to do. Whether that was directly, right. Whether it was directly or indirectly, this is the right way to do this. Well, everybody knows this is what you're supposed to do. And so my challenge to the women in this group and any woman that I talk to is, why? Why is that your truth? How did you arrive at that? And sometimes it's, I don't know. And so at that point, right, there's the impetus for change. It's to say, well, you mean I don't have to? No. So I'm giving you permission, psychological permission, cultural permission to do something different.
And that's what, I like about how you coordinate that group. And that fits such in line with what the mission is for this show and my ministry as a whole. Faith Forward Ministries is about taking something that you have in your past. It already occurred. You can't change that. Whether you love the experience or hated the experience, it is your experience. But taking that and seeing, how do I take this piece and move what I want in life forward? I got to look at my spiritual connections, my physical connections, my emotional and my mental, wellness issues so that I can do it. And what you're encouraging is people saying, okay, why do you think that way about those relationships? What is it about your past that makes you think that's okay or not okay? And what do you want from your future relationship? Because if you want something different, you got to do something different. It's not always, I tell people, it's not always that other person's fault.
No, it's not.
It's easy to say that, right? Oh, he
Sometimes
did this.
You're a toxic person.
Sometimes I did it. Sometimes detoxing the love life means I need to detox myself.
Hello.
And that means I have to admit some things that are out of character, things that are plaguing me, things that are hurting me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard to look at yourself in the mirror and say, oh man, I really do have, a misconception about X, or I really do hold fast to a stereotypical, gender issue that may not really serve my next relationship. So how do you get people to identify? I know you said you asked them why, but how do you get them to own it? Not necessarily identify. Own, this is my thing, and I want something different. So now what am I going to do?
You say, what am I going to do? I think a lot of it comes within the conversations that we've had in the group, definitely the lives, the pajama social, which you mentioned in the opener, where sometimes even as the observer, people will see themselves and the light bulb comes on. Man, that sounds really foul, and you don't realize it until you hear it from somebody else and they see themselves in someone else's story. And there's the invitation right there that, man, if that sounded like that to me, then that's possibly what I'm sounding like to my mate, to past mates, to my family, to my friends. And so that's one of the things that's been shared, and how they come about it. I think the other piece is my transparency. You may have had this experience where when people attain a certain level of education or a certain stature, in their profession, they have this air about them that all of a sudden I've arrived. And for me, mostly because of the way I was raised and the village I come from, you're Kimberly King first before you're anything. So you can add all the letters you want in the back, in the front of your name, you're still Kim. And so I think that's surprising when people meet me. It's like, oh my gosh, she's just down to earth. She's just real. She's willing to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so certainly, if she can, then I can. And so just like you saw on the live last night where I talk about some things that are in the not so recent past, and it's like, whoa, she's able to talk about that? Absolutely. And so can you. So I think it's in the transparency as well. And then sometimes it's just exposure to new information. Again, I think the group definitely offers opportunities for that, for us to hear different voices, different perspectives that you may never have considered, especially being a good girl, a Christian woman, a professional woman. Like, wow, somebody else who walks this similar path thinks that way. And then to be able to ask them, sister, how did you come to that conclusion? And, oh, let me tell you. And then there's their story unfolds. So, so the transparency, exposure to new ideas, and then just being ready. I think the Fannie Lou Hamer moment, my daughter, she's watching, hey, Lindsay, who loves Fannie Lou Hamer. We talk about that often when you have that critical, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired moment. And you're looking for answers. You want to know, what can I do? I'm at the end of my rope. I have hit this wall 12,000 times. I'm tired of hurting myself. What can I do? So there's a certain readiness that I think exists for the women who come into the group, and definitely the ones who are invited into the group, because that's how most of them come. I started with probably a core of 500 women that I knew. Everybody else is from, references. You got to join. You got to see this. You have to hear this. Or I just want you in the group so I can just tag you and stuff. Just read it. Just sharing. So that's a big part of it.
I'm trying to recall now if I was invited into the group. Now I'm like, am I in the invited group, or I just kind of made myself over there? But I'm happy to be there, and I've invited so many people since then. I think some people are surprised that I've invited them, because it's back to what you said. People have an idea of who you are.
Yes.
Okay? And depending on where they met you in life, they have a certain way. Like, no matter what, I can say, I got all these degrees now. I am a Reverend Doctor.
Okay.
Sean Kyle Gary. Y'all better recognize. They'll be like, come on now, you just Sean. And that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I am. I really am just Sean. I really am. But I think that those degrees come with expectations of what your conversation should be or will be like. And I think that when you hit it on the head when you said being transparent helps people to understand the core value, at the core center of who we are. We're all human.
Yes.
And we are an accumulation of those experiences. And being able to be real with people is what people need more than what my title says that I am. When I say, you know what, let's take all that off. Like I tell people, if you call me and say, Sean, I need to talk to you, I want to know who you want to talk to.
Exactly.
You know, even sometimes with my now adult children, when they call me and they're like, Mom, I need to talk, I'm like, wait a minute. Which person are you asking to speak
You
with?
call up for your mama?
You want your mother? Or do you want a lawyer? You want a preacher? Talk to me first.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's certain realness that comes out when you take all those off and you can just be, you, or be who people need you to be at that time. And I think because you're so open about your story, it opens up other people to be able to share their story. And I can't wait to go to one of these pajama socials. I missed it. I heard all about it. I was like, man, that was Friday. All I was doing was my hair. I could have made it to that.
Yeah, and don't even be on camera and then pop in. Sometimes people will do that. They'll just have us on, oh my gosh, that just happened to me, or that happened to me before, and they'll join in. The one thing I do love about that, both the in-person and the virtual pajama social, is it's never a very large group. In person, always limited it to 20. Online, we usually average about 10. And it keeps it just small enough. So, again, that transparency is possible. We're not recording, so people, I don't have to revisit this. What happens in the pajama social stays in the pajama social. And there's different attendees every time, so there's always a different flavor depending on the women that's in the room. So we might, it might end up being a prayer meeting. It might end up being deliverance. It might end up being just a comedy show where we're just laughing, crying on the floor. And all of those are a release for the human spirit. All of those are a way to connect to others and back to ourselves. Like, wow, okay, whatever I walked in here with, it's not as bad. Like, I can face it. Whether they talked about it or not, and I've had women share this, I never said anything, but I was processing it all while I was there. But I left there knowing that I could. I started not to come, but This is exactly where I needed to be. And so the women in the group were kind of, well, we got to do something, because I have some regulars who have been to just about every one. We were doing it bi-monthly at first. What are we going to do? We're not going to let the pandemic stop us. Are we, Doc? And I'm, how in the world? Because I'm about zoomed out. I don't know about you, but there's a certain level of Zoom fatigue that I have between meetings and teaching and that kind of thing. But just like Friday night, I started to cancel. I am exhausted.
Well, I'm glad you did.
Exhausted.
I'm glad you did. And for
I
the
am
people
too.
who were on the group, because it seemed, from what I could tell, that the pajama social was something that people really needed
Yes.
as an opportunity to express themselves. And you know, you just brought that up, so it made me think about, we are in a pandemic.
Yes.
You know, we can't forget it. Clearly, we wake up
Mhm.
every day with it on the news. We know we have to move differently. We have to wear masks and all these things. And so, with this group, which are some married women, some single, some divorced, with this pandemic the way it is, what are women doing now with their dating life, with their relationship life? Are they spending more time, detoxing themselves, trying to learn more about themselves so that they're prepared for their next relationship? Or are they spending time, decompressing post-relationship? Are they out there dating, trying to figure out how to do this online dating during a pandemic? I heard people tell me some crazy stories about Zoom dates. I'm like, you are
Yes.
going on all Zoom dates?
Yeah.
Like how is this working for people? So, what's going on with people's love life right now, Dr. Kim, with this pandemic?
Kinds
What's
of
going
things.
on?
I think you kind of listed a lot of the different ways that people are approaching it. Some people are sitting this one out. They're like, you know what? Like I think people have felt about every area of their life. This is a moment to press pause and just say, you know what? I'm not moving forward. I'm not moving backward. I just want to sit in this space and figure out me. What is it I really want? One of the activities we've had twice since the group has been there is developing your mission and your vision for your life. Which kind of prompted me to, well, it did prompt me to change the name of the group from Love According to Dr. Kim to Life and Love, because you can't separate the two. And one of my girlfriends was like, but you talk just as much about life as you do about love. You really are getting our lives together. So I was like, okay, we'll change the name. But developing a mission and a vision statement for your life is key. And this pause that we've had, this pivot, some people call it, has allowed space to figure that out. Who am I really, and what is it I want really? That was two things I was going to say. Let me give my pastor his shout out, Reverend Dr. Reginald Williams,
All right,
who
now.
talks about the theology of authenticity. So that's one of the things I keep in the back of my mind. And then there was another sermon that stuck with me as we do the mission and vision from Reverend Dr. Eugene Gibson, who talked about he preached a sermon when he came one year. What do you want really? Instead of what do you really want? What do you want really? And so I come back to that often and bring that question into that activity, building your mission and vision. Write out exactly what you want really. And if it doesn't scare you, they say that dream isn't big enough, right? So don't write down what you think you can accomplish. Don't write down what you think you should be accomplishing at this point. But what is it you want really? Whether you've seen it before or not.
But you can believe what you don't see, right?
I believe I heard Reverend Thaddeus Searcy say
Yes,
that.
that's right. That's right. He sure did.
My big little brother. So yeah, you can. So that's one thing. So some folks are pressing pause. Some people are dating differently, because this also gives an opportunity to be a little bit more analytic about who they're dating, why they're dating. Just coming to terms with that, the why they're dating. We have some very heated discussions about that in the group a lot, that some women are like, well, I date for socialization. No, you should be dating for marriage. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. And so just to come to that conclusion, why are you dating? So if you know why you're dating, you're going to choose your dates differently. So like for myself, I went on a date last month, a social distance date, people.
Very good.
And it was a different goal for myself. It was for socialization. And previously, I've dated because, I want to find somebody. Maybe it's going to be my husband. And so understanding at this point in my life, maybe it's just I want somebody in that space who's not a girlfriend, to have good conversation, good company, a different kind of attention being paid to me, and that's okay. Now, it's not to say that I won't date otherwise, but to choose. And I'm hearing a lot of women saying that it's giving them a chance to sit down and say, what do I really want from my dating experience? So now I know what I want to say yes to. I know what I want to say no to. I know who I might want to invite into that space and be okay with that. And I feel like, wow, that's not what women do. I'm supposed to be found. I'm waiting on my Boaz. So, I'm not going to ask no man out. I'm not making the first phone call. I'm not making the first text. And realizing that, again, most of the women in the group being 35 and up, do we have to follow the societal norms that have been set before us, that we've been taught? There's a right way, there's a wrong way. Or can I manage that on an individual level? So there's that piece. Dating with purpose and deciding what your purpose is. And then this Zoom dating, which I think is fabulous, because people are then now having a slow walk to building of relationships by learning each other. And I've said that for many years. You cannot learn somebody going to a movie. We're both staring at the screen together.
How about that?
What are we learning about each other other than you either chew your popcorn loud or you chew it soft? So the Zoom dating or Google Duo or whatever platform you use does really allow for deep conversations. I can see your body language, which, we don't have the luxury of doing over the phone. And so I think people are building stronger relationships in that way by using these platforms. Thank God for technology. And so then deciding or making an informed decision, do I need to take this or do I want to take this to the next level, and then be in your physical presence to see what the possibilities may be. For married relationships, we're seeing both dynamics. Either folks are growing close or folks are growing apart, because this is the first time we've had to sit here for, an undefined period of time and be. And you find out either we have it or we don't. So I was reading something the other day that said 34%, but the divorce rate is up 34% this year. It spiked in April, right around the 13th.
30 days in. 30 days into the
Which
pandemic.
wasn't long. Which was not long at all. So that's very telling that this pivot, if you will, is causing people to decide, do I stay or do I go? And if I'm staying, those conversations are changing within our homes. How do we negotiate how we stay here? How do we negotiate who you are and who I am? Especially if you're in a two-career house. So you're balancing your work schedule. I'm balancing my work schedule. And somewhere we got to balance these children if children are present. So a lot of things that had not previously been discussed or we kind of have put on hiatus, we'll talk about it on the weekend. We'll talk about it when we go on vacation. We'll talk about it, I'm going to just wait till next time, till something happens. It's right there. And so it's had to be dealt with. And so some people have succeeded and they've gone to the next level in their relationships. And there's some relationships that have come to their demise.
You had so many points on the head. We can have 12 different shows
At
with that
least.
mouthful that you said. At least. But I think you're right. This pandemic has caused everybody to push pause on a lot of things and reevaluate a lot about who they are.
Yes.
I love that you're encouraging people to do vision boards. That's something I always advocate people to do.
No, not the vision boards, a vision statement.
Vision statement. Vision statement. Those are important too.
And start
right.
with the mission. Like I said, your mission first is why are you here? Which is a hard question. Why am I here?
What's your purpose?
What is your purpose? Like I've told you, several things that have happened in my life where, you get so down where you wake up and it's like, okay, God, so I'm still here. I really was hoping not to get up. It gets that bad, And so you have enough mornings like that. Okay, so since I am still here, then I need for you to reveal to me why I'm here. And so if I figure that out first, that's why I'm telling it has to come before the vision. You got to know why you're here before you develop. The mission is the why. The vision is the how.
That speaks volumes to so many people that I know, who, including myself, who've made changes in their life. It started with something, some crossroads where they had to identify something in their own self.
Yes.
They had to do something different, and it wasn't any, maybe I could do that tomorrow. It wasn't I can try that later. It happened, and it happened now. I'm one of those people that did end up flat on my face under the bed. I did not want to get up,
Yes.
Dr. Kim,
Yes.
literally.
I understand.
I said, just take me out of here,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know why I'm here.
Yep.
If this is what life is about,
Then I say no.
and I say, no, I don't want this.
I don't need any more of this.
So then that forced me to say, if I'm going to get up out from underneath the bed, I mean, I was literally underneath the
Wow.
bed, like trying to disappear from this thing.
Mm.
If I'm underneath the bed, laying on my face, and God is telling me to get up, I have to do something, right? I got to do something. So it forced me to go inside of myself, pray about it, but what is it that I'm here for? And ask, what is my purpose? What do I want from life? So that when I do get up, I can get going with what that is.
At least one thing. Take
At least
a
one
step.
thing. Take a
right?
step.
Take a step. And that's the courage, right? That you hopefully get from that conversation. So one of the things you were saying, what are people doing, even in that quiet space, detoxifying. I think a lot of us are detoxifying and not realizing that it's a process, or that we're even engaged in that process. And probably the first thing that I think people are doing is quarantining themselves, even emotionally. You know, I need some me time. I'm hearing a lot of talk about me time. So what does that look like for each person? It's very different. I know for myself that first thing in the morning is important to me. So I have been religious about my do not disturb button on my phone. I will not talk to another human being before 9 o'clock. Or I gotta talk to God and get my mind right and be okay with Kim before I engage in a conversation with anyone. And I won't talk to you after 10 o'clock at night. I need some quiet space on the end of my day before I go to bed.
So setting some boundaries.
Yes, which you heard me talk about last night, right? We often set boundaries. We once we learn that we need to set some, but they need to be hard boundaries. So protecting that space right now is super important, as people are being called on more than ever within our home lives, right? So usually home, you're able to go home. That's your sanctuary away from work. For many of us who are working at home, it's like, how do I separate? How do I separate that out? How do I really create some boundaries that I can stick to and honor myself and not feel guilty about it? So another thing that I do that I share with people is putting yourself on your calendar. So if it's whether it's a nap or a show I want to watch, I schedule it in and give myself some reminders. You have 15 minutes. You need to be down there with your book. 15 minutes to watch another episode of Married at First Sight, which I'm addicted to right now. But actually scheduling it in. So even when I'm, I feel bad about it, or I'm like, let me see, I can actually look there and say, no, I'm busy at that time. I have an appointment. I don't have to tell you it's with me, but having it on my Outlook calendar. So even at work, those are some boundaries. Okay, she's busy at that time, so I can't even call her in on this Zoom. Even in the middle of meetings sometimes, coming off the camera, just to process what's going on. Tired of people staring at me. Or electing to listen to the recording later. Say, I am not in a good space. I really am not going to contribute anything to this meeting other than staring at the camera. Or maybe rolling my eyes. Sometimes I'm not aware that I'm rolling my eyes. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I just need to watch the recording later. And giving my students that option as well. So trying to practice what I preach to them. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm sorry to cut you. I just had to get in there because what you're saying is like making me all tingly. I'm like, yes, she's saying all the stuff that's so important, and I don't want our listeners to miss it. You shared and you're talking about these emotional boundaries and putting yourself first, and I think that's so challenging, especially for women. And I know that women, especially women who have gotten to be over 40, I don't know what that is. I don't know what happened in our upbringing. I'm gonna blame it on my mama. No, I'm just kidding. I love my mama.
I love my mama too.
But it's somehow we think that everyone else's plans, everyone else's dreams are more important than ourselves. And now we're having to relearn. I'm 47, so learning now.
You're a youngin'.
Learning now how to put myself forward, how to put myself first, how to have that self-care, and encouraging other women who are over 40 to do the same thing. It's almost like it's foreign to us because we
Yes.
have been taught a different way. And so I do some things similar. I set time in the morning
Mm-hmm.
that I spend with God. That's my time to kind of clear my head, get my mind together for the day.
Pillow talk with
Yes,
Jesus.
yes, I love that. Pillow talk with Jesus. You know, I frequently listen to a song or two,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sometimes listen to the intro music for this. I can get my morning going.
Okay.
But really just setting that time, and it's on my calendar. It's my
Mhm.
time with Jesus in the morning, and then I make breakfast for my family. That's important to me.
Okay.
You know, it may not be something that's required of anyone. It's not required of me, but that's how I show my love.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's part of, I've now given myself self-love. Then I give it back to them. And then I can
That's
move
good.
forward. But
Can't
I,
pour from an empty pitcher.
yes, no, you
Mhm.
can. I have to give it to
Mhm.
myself first. But I also set times during the day for self-care.
Yes.
You know, it's important to me to take a bath,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if I can't get a bath in every day, I can turn my diffuser on.
Yes.
I can sit for 5 or 10 minutes and just sit with that lavender oil and get some peace.
Yes.
Finding your peace and wellness. I just go ahead and plug in from my other group, the Sisterhood Society of the She Shed. Hey y'all.
She Shed in process.
Hey She Shed sisters. Got my She Shed t-shirt on today. But
Shameless plug.
I know. It's the way that I process it. If I can
Yes.
go in my she shed, right? If I can, whether that's an actual place or a figurative place, that reminds me that I'm important. To just take a few minutes, whatever that is per day, and schedule something for you.
Yes.
You know, we have this self-care challenge going on right now. So we have all kind of things planned for us. You know, write letters of gratitude to yourself, try a new meal, you know, do something different. If you don't normally take a walk, take a walk. But those minutes where you just focus on you,
Yes.
they help you to do what you're talking about, setting boundaries, right? Because nope, this is time where I want to put my mask on my face. And then it allows you to do that detoxifying. What is it about me that I like? What don't I like? What am I going to do to move forward? How am I going to take what's happened and change it? If you don't take time to reflect on that, you don't do it. And
You
that's what
can't.
the pandemic has caused us
You
all to
can't.
do.
Everybody. Yeah,
Right?
To some
We were
degree,
running
everybody.
around just working. You didn't have time to really think about, is this the career you want? Not just a career that's satisfying something, but is it really what you want to do? What is your purpose here?
And even with this pandemic, there's a rush. You know, we talked about that. You would think it would be easier being at home, but now people have a different kind of access to you. So trying to draw those boundaries again looks very different. You know, looks very different. And even more so we have to do it because just because I'm here, just because you know I can get on this computer in the next few minutes doesn't mean I'm available to you. Just because you see the little green light on Outlook or Facebook or whatever doesn't mean I'm available to you. So it's still been hard to draw those boundaries, even when the world has slowed down to a certain degree. It's really picked up in some other instances. So yeah, it's a discipline. It's a discipline.
Well, you're doing well. You are setting, a trailblazer with the group and showing women how to get this thing done. And so I appreciate that you have it available out there, that you are encouraging people to do those things. Tell us about the Complete Suite.
Now, the Complete Suite, which is in process, is, again, kind of a byproduct of that theology of authenticity that I was talking about earlier, in that I've found in my life, I have sometimes compartmentalized the secular and the spiritual aspects of my life. So I'm this person in this setting. I have to be the professor. Then I'm at church. I have to be the director of Christian education. I have to be the Sunday school teacher. Then I'm over here. You know, I'm this, I'm that. On Facebook, I'm something else. So the Complete Suite, which is suggested by the name, is a hub for me to merge all of those different aspects of my ministry. Okay, and one of the memes I've been looking at and carrying around is your ministry is the space where you've been broken. Your testimony comes out of where you've been restored. So how do I be myself in all of these settings? And I've come to realize that I can be. And so packaging that in a way where people have access to that and know that in an educational setting, even though I'm consulting in your school, it really comes down to mental health. A lot of times when I come into a school or a classroom, whatever is missing in that space that's not working is because there's some underlying issues that are usually personal. Same thing when I'm advising students, whether it's their dissertation work or my undergrads, there's something going on that's missing personally. Obviously with relationships, we know there's some emotional components there. And so the complete suite is just that, just an offering of all of the services that I can provide in a formalized way that I've kind of been doing in an informal nature and packaging that up so people can access that.
I like how you described it. When I asked you prior to the show, what is complete suite? You've explained it great, but I like the paraphrase you called it. You call it Kim style ministry.
Yeah, which is a mixture of humor. I love to laugh. So I'm probably going to say it, laughing and life and love according to Kim. But it's humor, it's practicality, it's authenticity, and then the byproduct being wisdom. But always delivered in that package, and that's I don't think I was aware that I was doing that at work until I had a coworker write a letter for me, and she said one of the hallmarks she felt of my work as an instructor is the pastoral care that I offer to my students as well as colleagues. And I was like, pastoral care? What is that? And she says, when I pass by your office, someone's in there to talk about coursework, but it always ends up, I just broke up with my boyfriend. My dog died. My parents don't understand me. And it made sense that when you see someone sit in a classroom not functioning, it's usually because there's something else going on beyond that. They go to wonder. And we often don't do that in school settings. The same thing when principals call me in to consult at a school. This teacher, I just can't get this teacher to control his kids. I can't get these teachers to do this. And you sit down and you talk to that teacher, so what's going on? Oh, I'm just really struggling to be in here every day. Really? Why? Say more. Now, I came to improve test scores. I came to do this, but really underlying all of that is something that's going on with that.
They may have some personal struggles going on.
Yeah, and so that may not be in the pamphlet, but that's something that I get to. So that's the Kim style pieces. I'm always going to come and do the soul work with that person. I'm always going to come and do, attach to or connect to that human element first, whether it's a student, a principal, a teacher, the women in the group. I hear you. I see you. Now let's look at that problem over there and let's address that problem. You're not the problem. You have a problem. And that's a big difference. That's a big difference. And most of us walk around wearing the scars, wearing the weight of what has either happened to us or decisions that we've made. And not understanding that, we'll try to help people to carve that space that you can step away from it. Now let's look at it together.
And that speaks a lot to getting people in the mental capacity to be able to perform their best. If you have other issues going on at home or other things that are concerning you, it's hard to focus on what you need to do. And so just, the way that you're approaching them, that's so inviting to them to clear their mind, but not in a way that removes all, understanding, but in a way that, or responsibility. Is taking claim to there's something going on. Let me think about what it is. Let me put a plan in place on how I'm going to improve it so that I can then go to the next step. I think sometimes when people are sharing about, you need to, I do believe in transforming your mind, that you can capture thoughts and think positive things, and then positive things happen. You draw to you what you think about. But I don't prefer when people share to clear your mind of all, pain or of all suffering, because that's unrealistic.
Right.
You have to take those thoughts, in my opinion, Dr. Kim. those thoughts and then transform them into something positive. Everything that's happened happens for a reason. Whether you were in control of the reason or it just happened to you, it still happened. And so if you are approaching, like you said, you go in to do a consultation and someone is traumatized by something that occurred this morning, maybe they just need to get that off their chest. They need to take 5 minutes and just vomit the stuff out, right? And say it, let it go, and then they can move on. So I appreciate that you encourage people, even in your professional life, to really think about what it is that's been happening to them, so that then you can help them do better with their classroom or what have you. Because all those things tie in together. What you're thinking about, you're going to manifest.
Absolutely.
You want to manifest something different, you got to think different. You know, believe it. What did he say? What did Pastor Cersei say? He told us, he said, don't believe what you see. See what you believe.
I was like,
and I was like, amen, amen. I'm not going to forget that. So if you want to see yourself in a better life, right? Back to that vision statement. Write it down. I love Habakkuk 2-4. I love it.
Plain.
Make it plain. You want it. Don't be afraid to put it out there. And you have to think about those things. I shared about this a show or two before. And it's something that stuck with me since I was probably about 16 years old. I ran track in high school, and we had to come up with these logos for our t-shirts, Dr. Kim. And I don't know how I came up with this. Probably something to do with whatever, we were talking about at the time. But the t-shirt said, goodness gracious.
That just left you.
It said, believe it. If you can believe it, you can achieve it. So let's go to work. But it started with, if you can believe it.
Yeah.
You have to,
Yes.
And if you believe it, then you can do it, right? Your body can achieve. So if you see yourself winning a race, then you actually can win the race. If you're constantly concerned about the other person in the lane next to you and they might be better and all this stuff, you're never going to win the race because your mind is concentrated on other things. But if you believe you can win, you're going to win. So just get to it.
Well, some of that is getting rid of the voices from the past, and that's what I love about the group, too. You can come into that group. We don't know your past, right? And now we formed a family unit here where you can be, right? And women can affirm who we believe you to be. And so sometimes it's the first time that someone has even been told, I believe you can do this. You're worthy. You're beautiful. I love you. Those simple statements that some of us take for granted, that I know I've heard my whole life, is new to many people. So even before you can get to a statement like that, if you believe it, is even knowing that that's possible for me, even me, even you. So it's really a good, like I said, good opportunity for self-growth, renewal, and self-discovery.
Yes. Well, Dr. Kim, I could talk to you on and on and on. I hate to say it, our time is coming to an end.
Oh, no.
This has been such a good show, just talking with you, and I know these things are so important to everyone to propel them towards moving forward in life. And so I want to make sure that people can contact you, can get a hold of you, can find you on Facebook. So just share with us how people get a hold of and find Dr. Kim.
Okay, you can find me on Facebook, primarily my personal page, Kimberly King Garrett, or our Facebook group, Love and Life According to Dr. Kim. It is a private group, but you can search us. If you type us in the search, you can find us. You can also find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram, Dr. Kim G. And and like I said, the Complete Suite page, which should be launched on November the 13th. You can find me there as well.
Well, definitely you can find Dr. Kim and at least the blurb about this show, and then contact links from there on my page as well.
Fantastic.
You can go to the page, the show page, www.themorningliftshow.com, where you can see all the calendar that has all the guests, all the topics, and their contact information. So we have the calendar there now that ran from August all the way through December. So if you're wanting to find Dr. Kim, and if you don't remember anything else, just go to the show page, themorningliftshow.com, and you'll find Dr. Kim there. You can click right there, take you right to her Facebook group. She's going to ask you all kind of questions to join.
Just a few.
But you can ask, but you can definitely go there. And so I just want to thank you for being on the show, being transparent, being authentic. being full of knowledge and wisdom for us. People are listening to us on intellectualradio.com, an iHeart radio station, and you can definitely play this back. It is live on Facebook, but you can play it back also on YouTube or Instagram, and actually we're on Roku now as well.
Nice.
So it's really wonderful opportunity that people can listen to you again, because I want them to get those nuggets that you've been sharing, Dr. Kim. You've given us a lot today, and I really appreciate your time. You gotta definitely come back and be with us again.
I would love it. Thank you.
And we will continue this series as I do each week, every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Monday mornings here at the Morning Lift Show with Dr. Sean Kyle. That's who I am. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. You can go to my professional page and find out more about the ministry, Faith Forward Ministries, more about the show, the Morning Lift Show, and of course my women's group, the Sisterhood Society of the She Shed. And join us for some wellness in the She Shed. And I want to let you know that next week on November 2nd, we have Boss Girls Pray in the house with
great.
Dawn Millhouse and Melody Winston. So Boss Girls Pray. These are powerful women who love the Lord and pray, but they are bosses in their own right as entrepreneurs and other things and out here in society. So they'll be here Monday, November 2nd. So make sure you check back with us. And as always, move forward in your week for spiritual, physical, emotional, and mental wellness, and journey in life well. Stay lifted. See you next time.
If you have enjoyed The Morning Lift, please visit our website at themorningliftshow.com. You will find upcoming events as well as options for donating to our 501c3 organization. Be inspired. Be a